So, do you know where we're going?
I know the name of the place.
Which is?
Substation 33.
Down at Logan. So,
Logan, okay. Got a bit of history with substations, worked in many of them.
Yeah?
Yes.
What'd you do there?
I was a power line worker for Etsa, which is a company back in Adelaide.
Yep.
And I would go in and do either switch operating of the equipment, or work on power lines which came in and out of the actual substations.
Yeah. So back in the day, that we actually have to physically manually switch. Yeah,
there was some manual switching. There was some a bit of manual switching, some air operated and that type of thing. It was variable high gear spring operated equipment. So, well, you'd have to operate a switch. There was an electronic way. Some of the spring-loaded switches, you had to wind up, get the spring to tension, then flick a button, and it would operate.
Yeah.
You're shutting off it. Well, we work on a voltage of around 11,000 volts throughout most of the region.
Dangerous stuff.
Yeah. So you're there in a switch room, and there's those times. There's a couple of names given to it. A brownout or load shedding, when it's just not enough power for the region, and they've got to cut off substations, cut off areas.
Yeah.
Now I think today that's done very remotely in some nice air-conditioned office. But probably
with a button.
Yeah, that never loses its power. However, most times back in the day, we'd be looking at loads on those, and we'd be stuck in a substation, and they'd tell us, okay, well, can you turn off a particular feeder, and you'd hit the button, and they'd be without power then for maybe, and you'd share it between a few of the feeders.
Have you needed to go up towers and stuff like that?
Yeah, we've done tower work, and that's part of the initial training and things, to do tower work. And
you let the young apprentices go up?
Yeah, well, I was the young apprentice. So, and they had this thing: if you actually dropped anything, you were the one who had to go back down and grab it. It was none of this. It was a learning thing, so I can say I never had to go back down and pick anything up, which was good. Yes, it was a good job.
I think they're actually going to be pitching this afternoon. Sightsee, so Sightsee HQ. So Lucio is one of the founders of that, and what they do is do 3D modelling of heavy infrastructure, like your telco towers, your power towers, and all that. But what they've done is it's all not light air type stuff. It's actually using drone technology to actually get really good detail as part of what that looks like. But the smarts that they're bringing is a lot of the simulation side. So being able to do inspection and then get that raw detail, the ability for them to understand wear and tear just based upon the imagery, without necessarily getting you go up and look at every part of that. They're doing that really fine-grained detail down to the centimeter, down to the millimeter type stuff. So you can see, okay, what's happening on this bolt.
Yep.
All right. So
there's a lot of wind shear and things like that creates a lot of wear on infrastructure in the towers and things. Maybe not as much in residential, but it does get because it's all a lot closer. But there's big spans of wire. They're heavy, and a lot of wind, vibration, and then it does wear things through. And you see the wear when you go up there. I'm looking at some of that stuff, thinking, okay, what can be picked up by the image versus by the eye? All right, so especially over a long period of time. I think if the image is put up against an image of what it should be like, you'd physically see, this string of insulators is now 3, 5, 10 millimeters longer. That must mean the joints have now worn through. To the eye, you can't physically do that. You'd have to measure it. You'd have to use a measure. But now with digital imaging, you can imagine putting one image against another. And saying, that's actually now larger than what it would be. Similar to like other places use imagery, and measure. I think dentists sometimes do it. They look at me, they'll use something, they'll take a picture, and you can see, oh yeah, they'll move something out, and they'll say, yeah, this is now something's changed on your tooth since the last time you had the picture taken, and they can compare the pictures. And I can imagine you're doing that with infrastructure like that and saying, oh, it's not the same as the last time we looked.
Yeah, so, and just especially where we've got these expanses of, Australia's quite big, right? There's lots of places that are not in the capital cities, so getting people out there on a all the time is actually quite hard. There's a lot, and one of the things that they're doing is actually doing a training program to correct the images. So you don't have to be a specialist to drive it, to take a drone up and do that. So they're doing training programs around that, and then getting the images and the model back is then what they're then doing to make that a lot easier. So there it is.
Fantastic. You've obviously never seen me use a drone. I'd say you do need someone who knows how to operate a drone. But yes, I can imagine how close it can safely get to high voltage and get an image which you normally couldn't get with a drone, and that would be great. Okay.